This kind of a course is not directed only to Muslims by any means. It's rather taking an academic approach to the study of Islamic intellectual history, which raises the question, what do you mean by the word Islamic? Here, it's part of a broader civilizational sense of the word Islam or Islamic. There are different approaches that academics have taken to defining the object of study from a historical lens of what is Islamic or Islam as a category to study societies or to study the development of a civilization. In a nutshell, we're using the word Islamic in a way that is not limited to Muslims. It is rather a broader milieu of participants in communities that were predominantly Muslim or that were ruled by Muslims. They were not necessarily predominantly Muslim at all times in history, but they were typically under Muslim rule. So you may have people that publicly were identifying as Muslims. They bear witness that there is no God but God, that Prophet Muhammad is the messenger of God. And you also have people that were protected by a coexisting community that included Muslims and others. And in certain periods, it may have been mostly others, Christians, Jews, for instance. But they were contributions in this intellectual history from people from different backgrounds. Muslims do have a special stake in understanding and drawing lessons on this history, but the rest of humanity does as well because it's part of the story of humanity and how civilizations developed, interacted with one another. You may argue that Islamic intellectual history is not just something in medieval times, it's something that continues. It's a living tradition, it's a living civilization. So, part of what you engage with in a study of intellectual history is the question of what types of philosophical positions have taken shape in what we're calling Islamic intellectual history. Meaning, regardless whether you believe that represents Islam or not, did it arise in the context that is studied as an academic object of study that is being called Islamic intellectual history? So it's a different question than, for instance, when you follow your marja as a follower of Islam and, for instance, 12 or Shiism, you follow a marja and your marja has certain rules that are based off of certain categorizations. Does this particular belief make somebody outside of the folds of Islam? That's the question you may direct to your marja for your own personal belief and practice. But you may include certain views in your academic study, not because you believe that it represents what God wills for people to believe as Islam, but because you are including the different thoughts that came about in the sequence of engagement in intellectual history in an Islamic context.